Thomas, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
You're finally on the podcast.
I am.
No, you've been waiting for this moment your entire life.
Okay, I wouldn't go that far, but
You've been bugging me at work, trying to get on here.
I said it 3 times. I asked 3 times.
What intrigued you to get on here?
I've never been on a podcast.
Do you watch podcasts?
I've watched one. You're gonna laugh when I say what it was.
What is it?
Basic bitch. It's a basic bitch.
The fuck is basic bitch about?
Pretty much about being a basic bitch.
So is it
pumpkin spice lattes?
Is it who does it?
Stassi Schroeder. It's like it's this whole thing. Yeah, it's this whole thing. It was off of what was it? Some reality show, and she had a podcast. It was the only podcast that I've ever watched, though.
Okay. Did you like it?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you relate to being a basic bitch? Is that what it is?
A little bit,
I don't feel like you're a basic bitch.
I mean, I love pumpkin spice. I love Victoria's Secret. Uggs.
Do you like Well, do you
probably Starbucks.
Do you get your pumpkin spice from Starbucks?
Yes, Starbucks is mish.
I just feel like they put all this extra flavoring into their shit, and then by that time it gets dumbed down that it's not really coffee at that point.
And it shrinks.
Shrinks?
Yeah, a lot of it shrinks.
The coffee?
Yeah, but I think it's because they do like the cloud one, like a macchiato. I didn't know when I went to work like last week, trying to be like the super nice person bringing people coffee, and it was like the big coffees, and then they shrunk down to like this much.
Oh.
And everyone's like, thanks for the coffee.
You're like, oh yeah, there's not much coffee left.
You're welcome. I paid for all that.
That's kind of like when you get a bag of chips and like half of it is just air.
Yes.
And you're like, what the fuck? I got a whole bag of chips. I didn't ask for 50% air, 50% chips.
That's me with my Doritos this morning. Yes, I had Doritos for breakfast.
There you go. Hey, I ain't judging.
So did Kinley. It's all good.
That's all she had for breakfast? Just a bag of Cheetos?
Well, and peaches.
Doritos?
She had peaches. Peaches and Doritos.
Sounds like a breakfast of champions. So I wanted to really explore the topic of anxiety because you and I have talked about it a few times at work. I know you've personally struggled with it. I know I've personally struggled with it. So I felt like this would be a great opportunity to talk about it.
Yes.
Because I think, especially anxiety, mental health, anything along those lines, a lot of people feel trapped in that they can't talk about it. And so maybe if they saw other people talking about it and their horrific experiences, maybe that would shed some light.
Yes.
That then hopefully they would open up about it. Because I think once you start talking about it, it's out in the open. It doesn't feel hidden anymore, like it's taking over your life because other people can relate to those scary feelings. So like what is your experience with anxiety and like how long have you dealt with it?
I think I started having anxiety when I was like 14, but it wasn't like anxiety attacks. It was just like the sweaty palms and like heart racing, stuff like that. And then it started turning into like anger anxiety, if that makes sense. Like I get anxiety and then I get angry because I don't know how to like express what's going on.
So like you get anxious first and then there's like a second wave and then it's anger after that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's still anxiety though. Like I'm still feeling all that stuff. And then but that was before I started going on medicine and doing all that. And now it's like I'm good with my anxiety until I get an actual anxiety attack. So then when I get those, I get tunnel vision. I get like, I can't breathe at all. I get really dizzy. I get shaky.
Do you have any techniques that you have on demand that you go to that instantly relieve the pressure of an anxiety attack? Like, is there anything that you've learned over the years that kind of calms you down in those moments?
Usually people do.
People?
And if I'm by myself though, then it's like breathing through my nose and out my mouth. But that causes a lot of dizziness too, if I'm like having an anxiety attack. But usually people can distract me pretty well.
Yeah, I can relate to that because the moments that I had extreme anxiety, the thing that calmed me down the most and made me feel grounded was just talking to people. Because then you start to focus less on whatever it is that's making you anxious. But sometimes you don't even really know what's making you anxious because there's so many varieties of factors that could play into an anxiety attack or just even like general anxiety throughout the day.
Like the last 3 anxiety attacks I've had, I have no idea what caused them. And I still don't know.
Well, I know I witnessed one of them.
Yes, you did.
And I tried to help you because I know something that helped me was also like if you could name things that were around you and then you could describe like the texture of them or what they look like, by that point you start to kind of forget again whatever it is that's making you anxious.
Yeah.
So that's a really good grounding technique.
And that did work.
Yeah. So if it started when you were like, you said 14?
Yeah, like 14, 15.
Dude, like did something happen when you were 14 or like?
I think it was just like all the stuff that happened in my childhood. Like.
Do you think that you just didn't deal with it and then it came out like?
Yeah, I think like once
500 heads when
yes.
you were 14?
Yeah, I think I don't know. I think it just kind of was buried down and then everything just kind of fell apart for a while and
well it's hard to tell because I think that I've always been an anxious person but I had never experienced like a full-blown anxiety attack until like when I went up to Ames, the first one that, or at least I guess the first one that I could ever remember or anything that felt like an anxiety attack was when I was up in Ames and I got what you said, I got like tunnel vision and I remember like, oh my God, like I'm about ready to go down and I could barely walk from the bathroom. Well, actually I think I was in the living room first and then I got up, went to the bathroom. And so this is when I was living with my roommate and I told him like, hey dude, like you might need to take me to the hospital because I don't feel good. And then I actually ended up throwing up. So that one's hard because I don't really know. I know that like having an anxious stomach could allow you to throw up at some point. My mom, she thought it was like a bug or something, but I'm like, this seems different than that. Like I'd never gotten, like the way I describe that tunnel vision is like things get really blurry. It's almost like when you pour pop into a cup and it fizzes up. That's kind of how your vision goes. And then you're like, what? And then the like light stimulus gets really bright.
Yeah, see, you explain it so well. Like, I try to explain it to people, and I just can't, like, put it into words.
Well, it's a weird experience, so it's kind of hard to talk about, but that's the one thing that I thought of is, like, when you see pop it go into a cup, it's like, just, it kind of explodes.
And, like, the little light.
The little things that are, like, fireflies that are, like, flying around. You're like, what is that? You're tripping.
And, like, my legs will start feeling like jelly because I'm so dizzy and I'm seeing, like, the tunnel vision. It's not fun.
Have you ever thrown up? Has it ever gotten that bad? Yeah.
Yeah, I've thrown up from it before, but I think I've only done that like once or twice.
Really?
But I will get like an upset stomach if it's like really bad. But I usually don't throw up.
Yeah, I think that's like extreme cases. That's for me at least was when everything was kind of crumbling down and I had so much on my plate that I felt like that my body was just giving in and that's what caused that reaction. Because now like if I have anxiety it's more of like the moderate levels that I can handle. It very rarely gets out of control where I have a panic attack or an anxiety attack. But after that there were like a string of events where you know I would just go out in public and be around too many people and that would cause me to have an anxiety attack. And before I never cared, you know, like when I was younger going to concerts in a group of people, being in a mosh pit never bothered me.
Same.
Going to the mall never bothered me. Back in November of 2019, I went to Black Friday. I was having so much anxiety.
Black Friday's the worst.
And I'm like, but it wasn't even that packed though.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm like, what? Like
every single time.
Like what changed though? Because I've always had anxiety, but it's never been to that level where I was like you said, it's almost like it's like there's some force around you that's caving in and it's coming all down on your chest and you're just like, I can't breathe.
It feels like a 500-pound man is sitting on my chest. A sumo wrestler.
Right.
Like maybe even more than 500 pounds.
Probably, yeah. It's more excessive than that. It's like, how do you get a 500-pound man off your chest?
Yeah,
it's
and especially when people are like, oh, just breathe through your nose and out your mouth. And it's like, I am, but it's not helping.
I think those people haven't experienced anxiety to that degree.
No.
Because some people can't even relate to the feeling that I describe when I tell them, like, this is what I felt. And they're like, oh yeah, I kind of get anxious sometimes. It's kind of me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
no, you're either, I don't know, yeah.
Either your palms are all sweaty and you're anxious, or you're not.
Yeah. But I mean, there's varying degrees, so not everybody's the same. Like, it might affect you differently than it does me.
True.
And you may get anxious towards different things, just depending on your circumstances and the way that you were raised in your childhood. Like,
very true.
Are there certain things that always give you anxiety?
I don't know. Like, I can't say right off the top of my head, to be honest.
Like,
can we stop?
Well, you were saying, you were talking about like social anxiety. Do you have
Yes.
that? Is it around people that you don't know, or is it around people? Like, do you get anxious sometimes around even people that you do know?
Yeah, sometimes I get anxious around people I do know. Like, let's say work. If we had like a work party, like a Christmas party, I get really bad anxiety, and I know everyone, but still, there's just so many people there that I just get like social anxiety.
Yeah, I kind of get that. I feel like I have to like entertain people, so if we're at a party and there's people that aren't really talking, especially like if they're my guest, I feel like that I have to involve them, and that gives me anxiety to just be like the entertainer of the party.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, I don't know. Anxiety is such a weird one, like how it forms, because it's always usually the things that give you the most anxiety are not that bad in the end. Like if you're anxious,
honestly,
like if you're like for me, like if I'm anxious to go talk to a girl, what's the worst thing that's gonna happen? She's gonna reject me. Okay, move on from it. But like in your head, you're like, oh my God,
it's like the worst.
She's
experience.
So pretty, and she's gonna think I'm stupid. And if I stumble on one word, she's gonna be disinterested. Like at least that's how I feel, and then that's what like makes me not.
No, I feel the same exact way.
Yeah, yeah, and then I cowered off, and I'm like, and then I walk away, and I'm like, why didn't I fucking talk to her? What's so bad about it? I don't know.
Fear of rejection.
Yes.
Nobody likes to be rejected.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think anybody does. But why is it that bad though? Especially if it's a girl that you don't know, and she rejects you. You're probably never gonna see her again.
I don't know, because I'm the same way. I will not like just go up to someone that I find attractive and be like, hey, I find you attractive. Like I would have serious anxiety.
Right.
Like I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Like you'll know, you know, like I'm not gonna say it, but you'll know.
Well, and sometimes like I was telling you about how at work last night, I felt like people could tell from the outside that I was anxious. Sometimes like you're really anxious but nobody can tell, and then sometimes it's obviously apparent that everybody can tell that you're anxious. So I don't know, that's something that always goes through my head, and I don't know why it occurs at work. So it might be fear of judgment. I kind of always like wonder what other people are thinking about me, which
me too.
It's just stupid because it's such a poor time of your investment to think about that stuff.
It's toxic to you.
Yeah.
But I'm the same exact way. I try not to.
That's why social media is so bad, because everybody's comparing themselves to what they see online, and it's like, you don't know. I mean, maybe you do know how old they are, but you're like, you don't know what their background is. You don't know how they got there. Like, you know, like let's say they post about getting a new car, and you're like, well, I don't have money to get a new car. It's like
I'm guilty as charged.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Like there's certain things I'll see, and I do get a little jealous, or like, well, dang, that sucks that you have that and I don't. But at the same time, like I understand.
I just recently, I mean, I had to re-download Facebook to get a hold of you today to do our podcast, but I deleted all my social media apps off my phone because I just wanted to take a break from it. And
sometimes you need to.
It's so nice not having to check in and see what everyone else is doing. Like I just get my shit done, and I don't compare myself, and I'm not like as upset if I don't meet the standards of like where everybody else is at.
Yes.
And I don't know, know. I mean, I'll definitely get it back at like some point, but I think it'll change the way that I view social media. Maybe I'll put more restrictions on using it because I think like it's a big waste of time.
Yeah.
To be constantly scrolling through.
I agree too. Like I agree completely, but it's like I have no life. So
Do you have any hobbies? Like nothing that you do outside of work?
I take care of my daughter.
Yeah.
I like to play with her.
I mean that's good. I mean, you sound like a good mom for her, like enjoying to be around your daughter. But like
movies and music and stuff, but I don't really do. I'm lame. Okay, cool.
Why don't you try something new, like something that's outside of your comfort zone that you never thought you would try, like
anxiety?
What about like I don't know, like getting a bike or something? Like you got her that remote control Jeep thing, but like what if you guys both got bikes and just rode around town or something?
True. I could get like a little wagon for her, like drag her around my bike.
Yeah.
Be that kind of mom.
Yeah. Pimp that shit out. Pimp my ride. Get some hydraulics on it.
Yeah, make it purple with some glitter, some rhinestones.
What is she into? Like, what are her? Moana. That's right. You told me that.
Yes, she is obsessed with Moana.
Now, I've never seen Moana.
No.
Oh no.
No.
I know I shouldn't have said that.
You shouldn't have.
Is it a musical? Like, is it song based?
Yes,
okay.
It's. I mean, you know how Disney movies are, like Lion King, how they have their music in it and stuff like that. It's like that. I mean, it's not like Lion King, but the music.
Right.
I cannot believe that you've never seen Moana.
Well, it's newer though. Like,
I'm gonna force you to watch it.
I've seen. Okay, let's put it on at COC, and like, let's just not work. Let's just watch
Okay,
Moana.
deal.
But I've seen all the kid movies that, like, when I was a kid. Like Lion King, Tarzan, Bugs Life,
You're
Jungle
missing
Book.
out. You were really missing out.
I know. Everyone said like that.
It's a great movie. It's so good. And I'm saying this, and I've seen it like a million, trillion, bajillion times.
You're probably watching it every day.
Every day, like times 20.
What is that? All she wants to do is just watch Moana, or is there
and
anything?
Trolls.
Trolls.
She loves Trolls.
Okay.
Loves Trolls. So I watch Moana and Trolls like daily.
So you could probably quote them.
Yes, I could.
The back of your hand.
I could.
What's it like taking care of a little human being?
Oh man, it's a whole different life.
Yeah.
Like I think that was the hardest part for me, was like realizing that it's not about me anymore, and my feelings, like none of that matters.
Do you think that helped you then, like having that realization?
Oh
like,
yeah.
Now I have to take care of this little thing instead of my. Well, I mean, you still take care of yourself, but that becomes first priority.
Yes. Yeah, I think that it helped me a lot. It helped me grow up for sure.
Yeah.
And she helps with my anxiety.
Really?
Yeah, she, like, whenever I have anxiety, if she comes up to me, she can sense it, and she'll like start hugging me, and then I just kind of melt. Like I just kind of melt away.
Well, I've heard that, like, because we're talking about techniques or remedies that help alleviate anxiety. One of them they've mentioned is to, like, if you have a cat or like a pet and you put them on your chest, that pressure. So that probably, there's probably something to that. Like if she comes up and your sensory input is being stimulated, that like you kind of like relax and calm down. And plus, like, she's your child, so there's probably like an intimate bond there whenever she comes up and hugs you.
Definitely. Like, I love her more than anybody in this whole entire planet.
Yeah. Do you think, like, do you think you were ready to have a kid, or do you feel like you got whipped into shape?
I got whipped into shape real quick.
Yeah?
I was not.
How long did it take? Like, how long did you, before you were, like, actually, like, really comfortable with taking care of her?
Ooh.
Is it like a switch that just flips on when
No.
you have them?
No, because I was not comfortable at first. I'd say, like, it took me, like, a couple months to figure out the mom thing, and I had really bad postpartum depression. So on top of that, I was trying to, like, be a mom, but I was trying to also, like, be me and not be consumed in being a mom. So it was, like, really hard.
What causes postpartum? Because I've heard that happens quite often. Like,
I'm not like 100% sure, but I think it's like the fact of like the baby not being in your your stomach anymore. Your hormones are out of whack.
Right.
It's just, and it's a lot. It's a lot. Like, once you have a baby, you look at yourself in the mirror and you feel completely different. Like,
Right.
I don't know. I'm not going to speak for every woman, but like, after I had Kinley, I was so depressed. I hated looking in the mirror. I was disgusting. Like, that's how I thought anyway.
Was that part of your postpartum
Yes,
depression, or is
like,
the postpartum just in relationship to the baby? Like-
no, no, postpartum like affected everything. Like, it wasn't just with her, and with her, it wasn't like I was disconnected from her or anything, because I was still a great mom with it. It was just that like I was just so depressed with like with her father and stuff. That whole situation, it was just a lot to deal with after
Mhm.
having a baby
Right.
and being disrespected every day, and it was just a lot for my mental health,
Mm-hmm.
and it didn't help at all.
Yeah. How long did it take before that subsided? Like, was it a thing that just went away? Or
It did go away, but it took about like 8 months.
Wow.
Yeah, it took me a really long time, and they had to test out different medicines because things just weren't working,
Mm-hmm.
and
I can't imagine. I mean, I don't have kids, but like, for a woman to endure that sort of stress, like that's a lot. Not only when you're nurturing that thing in your womb, but then when to go through labor, and then after that, I mean, hopefully the father's present, but like that is.
he wasn't at the time though.
No.
So it was like that first year of her life, he wasn't really there. He
Mhm.
was like consumed in his own stuff,
Mhm.
and now he's here with her, but like he wasn't there, so that it was just me.
Yeah.
And so that kind of,
That's extra pressure on you.
yeah.
With already, I mean, it's your first child, and you
Yes.
don't have anybody back. Well, I mean, I'm sure like you have your family.
I had a support system. I have my village still to this day. Like, it takes a village to raise a child. It really
Mhm.
does. But it was hard. Like, it was hard to think that I had people there when I felt so alone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know when I'm gonna be ready to have kids. I wonder if it's the
I'll
same
be-
thing with a dad. Like,
I'll
is
be
it-
honest with you, I don't think anyone is actually really ready. Like, if you say you're ready to have a kid, I feel like you're lying to me.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
like nobody's ever really ready, and
Right.
I can tell you 100% I was not ready at all,
Mhm.
not even close. But I shaped up.
I think the interesting thing from working at COC is that it's preparing me for a scenario like that.
Yeah.
Like, they're different, obviously, in age, but like, they are kind of kids at heart that you're taking care of them, you're nurturing them, and so I think that was part of the reason why like I just didn't want to leave after I was unsure, because there's a lot of life lessons that you obtain by working in a place like that. Like,
Oh, for sure.
and I love all of them. Like, they become your kids. Like, you form a special bond by working with them all the time.
They're literally family. Like, they become family to you because we are their family.
Yeah. Right, and I mean, especially in these times where they can't see their family.
Yeah, they can't go
They can't
and-
come to the house.
Yeah.
Remind me of when you started working there. Was that 2 years ago?
2.5.
So what made you want to come to COC?
I actually worked at a place like this in Carroll, Iowa, back when I lived there. I worked there for like 4.5 years. And then I moved here, worked at Casey's for a little bit.
Casey's, yeah, buddy.
Casey's.
Making pizza.
Yes. And then I started this job.
Okay.
Oh wait, actually, I worked at Motel 6 in West Des Moines as well. That was horrible. That was the worst job I've ever had.
I feel that. I feel like it takes like a band of a few shitty jobs before you finally crack one that's
Yeah.
really good. Like, you have to go through that to like see that there are decent jobs out there.
Definitely.
And like every job has their pros and cons, but I definitely think if you're gonna stay at one for long term, the pros will have to outweigh the cons. Like, that's what I'm saying with this job is like, it's very hard to leave like the connections, not only that you have with the employees that you work with, like you and I, but then like the people supporting it.
Yeah.
Like, it kind of does feel like a family because you're around each other a lot and you have
All
to
the
rely
time.
on each other. Where, like, I'm thinking of shitty jobs. I used to work at Iowa Beverage, and all you're doing throughout the day is stocking stores with beer. you're not talking to anybody.
Yeah.
You're trying to get done as soon as you possibly can to get to the next store, and it's just so taxing on your body to be doing the same thing all throughout the day, just like your beer. But here, it's like there's a personal aspect to it where you get to become close with these people and help them.
Definitely. I love my job.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I'm really glad that I stuck with it because
I'm glad you did too.
there was like I was like I'm not sure I might have to leave, but yeah, it's a beautiful job. Do you think that you're gonna go into like more? You were saying, was it ultrasound?
Yeah, I want to be an ultrasound tech.
Okay.
That would be awesome. That's like my dream job.
Why is it your dream job?
Why are you asking such personal?
I'm trying to get you to say something.
I know, I'm trying to. I mean, I guess my thing is I love babies, and if I were to be able to like make somebody's day and like tell them that they're pregnant and they're having a baby, or they're having a girl or a boy, you know, like
right.
I just feel like that would be fun. Like that's fun to me. That's legit fun, and I want to have fun working.
Yeah. Do you have fun at COC right now?
I do, for the most part.
Yeah.
For the most part, you know.
Yeah. What?
I wish my girls Taylor and Annie were working with me though.
I know. I kind of miss the morning crew.
I do.
It was like Taylor, Annie, me, you, Abby, like all of us.
Shout out to the morning crew if you're listening to this.
Oh yeah. Well, now PM crew's gonna get pissed off. We're gonna
Love you, PM.
We're gonna have to make up to them. I know I'm not gonna hear the end of it from Charity,
For real.
my new best friend.
She jacked my best friend, guys. No.
So do you have to go to school for that?
You do, and I haven't even started yet. It's like I haven't even gotten into it. I'm just simply saying like what I want to do, and hopefully there's online classes. But if there's not, then I'll make a way. But
are you waiting to like just work more and like save up and then start at some point, or like do you have a target time like when you want to get started?
Like, and well, I guess I don't really know exactly like my plan yet. I at least want to be started by like next year. It'd be nice if it was before that, but there's just a lot going on.
Right. There's a lot of things that we can't control right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I found out that with YouTube, so like if you talk about coronavirus or like something and you don't have like let's just say it's more of your opinion and it's not really fact-based. Like even if it's an educated opinion, like the people that watch, like the people that work for YouTube, they browse through all the videos before they get posted, and then they decide like if they like it or not. Like I don't know who all like looks at the videos, but like they can set it to where if it's something they don't agree with, it won't pop up as much. Like not as many people will see it.
Oh.
So my last two podcasts that I did, like we kind of talked about Corona a little bit, and they were like the least amount of views that I've ever gotten. Because do you know who Joe Rogan is?
No.
He's like one of the reasons that I started podcasting. Like he is the podcast empire. Like he has like one of the most listened to podcasts on the planet. He just signed a deal with Spotify, so he's taking all his content from YouTube and he's going to Spotify, because at Spotify they don't put any limitations on you. You can say whatever you want, and they're not gonna like censor you at all. So he's moving everything over there, and then I'm like, so now I'm like, I don't really want to talk about that stuff. I don't know if it would really matter because I'm not really that big. I don't have many subscribers, but I kind of wonder why, because like all my videos were hovering around like 100 views each video, and those last two dipped.
And it's because you were talking about.
I can only assume. I mean, maybe it's like people are just getting so crowded in their houses, and maybe they were outside and they didn't really like get online to watch my podcast. It could be a marketing error. Like, I'm good with the ideas that I want to promote, but I'm not like into the business side of it, of like marketing to an audience and trying to gain people to come on. I just don't really spend time thinking like how to do that. So if it ever were to grow, I would hire somebody to take that part over, because I speak what I have to say, and that's the content that goes in the video. Like, I'm not gonna make it look super flashy. I'm just gonna be here present with whoever I'm talking to.
That makes sense though.
So
I can see that for sure.
yeah, I don't know if that's why the views dip down, but I can only assume that that's partly why. Because, like, I'm just 23-year-old from Iowa giving his opinion on coronavirus, so they're probably like, he's not saying the right shit. Don't let people see his video. So let's go back to anxiety, because we didn't really get to talk about disassociation and like derealization, depersonalization. And you told me that you kind of felt that way, like before we were talking about the podcast, like sometimes where you don't feel like the reality that you're in is real, or you have like those deja vu moments where I think everybody's probably had general deja vu.
Yeah.
But like, don't you ever just trip out whenever you have that and you're like, wait a minute. Like, it's so odd that you're like, I've done this before.
It's weird.
Yeah.
It is honestly weird.
Yeah.
Because every time I'll be like, you know,
Yeah.
like do a double take.
Like, where am I? What did you ever have those extreme feelings of like not being real? Like you were questioning if you were like almost like sometimes I still have it where I just feel like I'm not even a thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense. Like I'm
no,
not
it
even,
makes sense. I've had it once, the one time, like we talked about this a little bit before, but I've had it like after my sister passed away. I felt like I was alone. I did not, like, it felt like a whole different universe.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even know how to explain it really. You explain it really well.
You're talking about
Like,
like the tunnel vision and stuff?
no, the alienation.
Oh. Yeah, well,
like
for me at least, it was more like these deep existential questions of my existence. So it was when I was working with Iowa Beverage, and I would like just kind of, I'd be sitting there in my car, probably going on like a loop of thought that I couldn't break out of, and then like questions would arise in my mind, like, is this real? Like everything that I'm looking at, everything that I'm experiencing, nothing feels real, and that's like people that have never went through it. It's very hard to relate, because when you say that, when you instantly tell somebody, it's like, oh, I was at this point in my life where I didn't think things were real, and they're like, what the fuck do you mean things weren't real? I'm like, I don't know how to put it. Your mind and your body, everything is like disconnected, or then like your mind kind of feels separated from your body, because there would be times where I'd be at the gym and I'd be shooting hoops, and I just felt like it was me. It was obviously me that was shooting the hoops, but it didn't feel like I was connected as a thing. Like everything's kind of severed and broken up into pieces. It's like either your brain or your body is catching up with the other one.
Mm-hmm.
But I never felt like I was, because some people describe it as they're out of their body, and so they're kind of seeing things outside of themselves. I've never had it like that. That almost sounds like too trippy,
like
or like a
projecting.
a bad drug trip or something.
Yeah,
I've never had that.
I've never had that either.
Yeah, but I've definitely had the moments where I just kind of sat and contemplated reality, and
definitely
it got to the point where it freaked me out so bad, because I convinced myself that it wasn't in reality. And they say that it's comorbid, like the derealization, depersonalization, that's all comorbid with anxiety. So if you have extreme anxiety, that's the way that your mind copes, because you're in this stressful situation and it's kind of like making you numb so you don't get hurt. It thinks you're dying. So, I don't know. I've read statistics that like a good % of the population has experienced it, but at the same time, I think when I found out about it, I was surprised, because I had never heard about it. No one ever talked to me.
Yeah, when
about
you
it.
told me about it, I've never heard about it. I never knew that there was like actual
like a
words.
words
like
to describe
definitions.
it. Yeah. But then when you read it, you're like, wait, like that's what I'm feeling.
I have that.
Yeah, that's me. And I should clarify that like some people have general disassociation, like maybe in the day, like maybe at work, like sometimes if it's kind of slow and we don't have anything to do, I'll kind of space off, and then I like come back. I think everybody experiences that, where you kind of get lost in thought, but this is different. This is like you look around and you question everything that's happening around you.
Yeah. Sorry, I just yawned.
Wow.
My eyes are
on my freaking podcast.
No, not
Boot this bitch out. This basic bitch out of here.
this basic bitch. Hey, I'm having fun, okay?
Are you crying now?
No, I yawned.
You got some tears rolling down your face.
I yawned
I
and
didn't
my
mean
eyes
to make you
watered.
cry by saying that.
I don't know what's going on, okay?
Oh, she's so emotional.
I'm not crying. It's my... It was literally from yawning.
Oh, you yawned so powerful that it made you
Yes,
cry?
okay. Quit judging me.
I've never heard of that.
You really have never seen somebody
No.
like have their eyes water from yawning?
No.
Is that not normal? I thought that was normal.
I've never cried from yawning.
I didn't cry.
What is that then? It's a tear?
My eyes watered.
Oh, okay. I don't know what's going on.
Well, now you're making me feel like I'm like I thought that was normal.
Maybe
So now I'm like,
maybe
that's
you're going
not
crazy. I don't know.
Been
Talking
told.
about anxiety and such, like. Well, yeah, like what? I mean, I kind of already know like your experience, but what, like, you got diagnosed with it, so before you were not really aware that that's what was happening to you.
Yeah, I had no idea.
So what, like, before you knew about being bipolar, like, what did you think it was? You're like, oh, this is how I am. Like sometimes.
I just thought that like I had really bad anxiety and like anger issues is what I thought.
Mhm.
Because I knew something was up and everyone would always tell me like you're bipolar and I would get so offended and then it turns out like everyone's right.
Right.
Like, okay, you're right.
So how did they diagnose that? Do they ask you like a series of questions? Like, I feel like for bipolarism they'd have to have you in there a few times to kind of get like a general feel.
Well, mine was completely different than like the normal standard testing or whatever because I didn't actually get tested. What happened was like I had this situation, you know about it, but I had this situation where I got in trouble with the law.
Yeah.
But
Nice.
you know,
Shit happens.
and so I told my doctor about it, and he was telling me that most adults get diagnosed, unfortunately, like when they get in trouble with the law. And he was telling me that, like, when I was explaining to him what happened and stuff, he was like, "You're like," immediately he was like, "You're bipolar. Like, you have bipolar disorder." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And so then,
How can he say?
well, then when I went in,
I would
I
say,
think
like-
he like thought I did or whatever.
Yeah.
Then I went in, and then he just kind of like goes through like a questionnaire type of thing and
I would
talks
say
to me.
I feel like they'd have to experience like the formation of one of your episodes to be like, oh yeah, you have bipolarism, because
I don't think they didn't go that far into it, which they probably should have, but they didn't.
yeah.
But
Like my therapist, she described to me like she's very careful to say that somebody, like a client, has bipolarism until like she's been around them enough. Like she kind of analyzes their posture and like.
she
you
can
know
know from their posture.
Okay, maybe not like posture. I'm thinking more like anxiety. Like she tells me
okay.
that like she would go sit in her car outside before every time before like she had a meeting with somebody, so she could kind of see what the posture was like, see if they're like more anxious or kind of like in a good mood, you know. And
I get what
there'd
you're
be
saying.
times where she would tell me like, yeah, you're really anxious just by your posture, like you're very tense, and I'm like, those are like cues that I don't really pay attention to, but like every time I would just be like a fucking
Yeah.
wall.
Yep.
Yeah, and so, but I don't know if
understand
that'd be the same with being bipolar. I think she would just wait before she said that they had that.
Yeah. Well, I noticed after I got diagnosed, I was told like from my boss and a whole bunch of other people that like they noticed that something was wrong, and even before they were like, something's wrong with you, like you're not acting yourself. And I think like I think I've had it since I was a teen, but I also think that it's gotten worse, like with all the experiences that I've been through, like recently, it's just kind of added up, and it's been so much. Like it's just been a long time coming, I think. And then once that whole situation happened where I got in trouble, it just kind of was clarity.
Do you think that it's something that you're gonna have for the rest of your life, and you're just gonna have to learn to cope with it, or do you think that there'll be a point where you could like get yourself to not have as many breakout episodes? Like obviously medicine plays a part. Like if you're on something that kind of helps you stay baseline, but
I was told that I'd have it for the rest of my life, and that it's something that I just have to, like, obviously I'm taking medicine for it, but like, so when I got the medicine, for some reason, I don't know why, and this makes me feel stupid for even saying it, but I thought that that you had to, what was the word? So I thought that with the medicine, I thought that it would make me not have episodes anymore. I thought it would just stop it, and that I wouldn't have any manic episodes. And then I realized that taking the medicine, it doesn't just cure it all. It doesn't just take the episodes away, but it helps them not be as bad. Like I had a manic episode maybe like 4 days ago, and it wasn't as bad, and it didn't last as long. It was very short-lived, and usually they're like a lot longer. And like if you read up on bipolar, you could go into an episode for months. Yeah.
Really?
Yes, if you like read up on it, you could go into like an angry episode or like a depressive episode. It could be months.
How do you snap? Is there a way to snap out of it, or is it like you just outlast it? Like
I think it's just like the medicine and stuff. Like I'm assuming that happens when you don't have your medicine.
Yeah.
But I've never really like dug that deep into it, so I don't know. I actually, like, honestly, after this, I'm probably gonna go home and like do some more research on it, just because I want to know, and I've only done a little bit, but like, obviously, I need to know what's going on in my head right now.
Right, but I mean, like, you're more aware of it now that you can like say like you can identify when you're going through one, whereas before, like, you didn't know that that's what it was.
Yeah.
So it's probably better now that you can like that you're more calm and can try and understand it, like when it does happen.
Yeah. Well, and it's crazy though, because you can have like hypomania, so it's happy manic. So like if I'm in a manic episode, I could be like just in euphoria, like thinking that like I have all this purpose in the world, and then the next thing it's like my purpose is gone.
Crash.
And now I'm in a depressive manic episode, and it's nothing like actual depression. It's like times 100, like, or maybe not that bad, but times 10 at least.
Yeah.
But it's like your whole world is falling around you because you just had this like super hypomanic, happy, euphoric time, and you thought you had all this purpose, and then you realize, or you like feel like you don't, and so then it's just like crushing, like it's crippling.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what drugs are all about, like especially the ones that make you feel that euphoric rush, and you're loving it in that moment, but there's always that inevitable come down where then things are like shit. It takes like days to recover. So. And that's all that is what's going on in our heads, is just a bunch of freaking chemicals. Like when you hook up with somebody, I can't remember the chemical that gets released. There's probably like a few different chemicals, but like that's why I think that people can't just have like casual sex.
Yeah,
because
not like catch feelings.
Well, yeah, and I mean especially like if you're maybe like if you do it like one time with a person, but like if you're having consecutive times you're hooking up with that person, somebody catches feelings, because there are chemicals that are literally being released that whatever make you fall in love or are attracted to that person. And so if you have somebody, you know, that's emotionally abusive or whatnot, like that feels like a come down, because you're literally not getting that, like that stimulus, that drug that you're normally used to getting to. So that's why breakups are so hard.
Breakups suck.
They do suck.
They're
not fun.
No, I'm very recently going through that, so that's not fun.
Yeah, I'm still partially dealing with my last girlfriend, so yeah, I know how
Exes are not fun.
They're not fun.
Not at all.
Gross.
Ew.
Gross.
Yeah.
Because you've been going to therapy too.
Yes, I actually just had my second appointment this morning.
Okay, how'd it go?
It went awesome. I really like her. And it turns out that I actually know her. She went to my old therapy. So when I was pregnant, she was in the room right next to my therapist.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I was like, she looks so familiar. And then she asked me, she was like, did you go to Choices? And I was like, yeah, I did. She was like, okay, I know.
That's
But yeah,
awesome.
she's really nice. Like, we vibe pretty well, so.
That's what you need with a therapist, is like to have, like, it's almost like a good personality match. That
Yeah.
really make, like, they're, at the end of the day, they're there to help you, but I
She
always,
has sass, and she's funny, so, like, she's like me.
there you go.
She's
Yeah.
sassy and funny.
Yeah, I like my therapist because she'll call me out for bullshit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, she's like, it's like she praises me when I'm doing a good job, but she also reminds me when I'm overthinking. So I
Yeah.
like that balance. Like, I think any good therapist is one that can bring you down back to earth, but then can also hype you up. Like,
Yes.
when he or she sees you're doing a good job. And I think, like, even if you're not dealing with anything like a big mental health breakdown, I think that everybody can benefit from seeing a therapist.
I agree.
Because it's just
completely.
maintenance. It's just maintenance up there.
And most people have really fucked up lives.
Yeah, yeah, and a lot of people are not comfortable talking about it, so
Yeah.
it gets stored away, and they just don't really know how to deal with it. And that's why I
Bottled
said
up.
at the beginning when we talk about anxiety is like, you know, talking about it through something like this, where more people will see it, would hopefully allow someone who's dealing with it that thinks they can't talk about it can now express it. Because I remember, like, I didn't know how to talk to people about it when I was first going through my shit. I didn't know. I was just used to, like, putting my feelings aside and not talking about it. But ever since, like, I actively seeked out help, it's gotten so much better.
I agree with that because I don't normally talk about it either. This is my first time actually, like, sitting down really talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably why I'm really nervous.
That's alright.
But I felt
it's
like I
deep
needed to
shit.
talk about it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, just help me get it out in the open and make me feel better.
Yeah, I think.
And, you know, like you said, if somebody's listening, then maybe I could help them
Yeah.
if they are having issues as well.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, just to find, like, you know, like a community, like, even when I found out that derealization and all that was the thing, like, even though that was kind of scary to now have a definition for it, it made me feel less alone that there are a bunch of people out there that have gone through it, even like famous people. Like, I watched some of my favorite musicians or actors that have gone through similar instances like that. So I'm like, it's not just
That
me.
makes sense.
It's a human tendency.
It makes sense what, like, celebrities would because I could not imagine that.
That's a weird life.
Yeah.
That's a crazy
I
life.
couldn't imagine it.
Yeah.
It
Think
would
about,
be
like,
anxiety every single day.
right, especially like if you got to the status level of, like, you walk out in public and everybody knows
Justin
who you.
Bieber.
Right. I was watching the Michael Jordan document, like The Last Dance, and, like, that's how it was. Like, he would walk out of his bus and there would be massive amounts of people around him when he'd go to the hotel, and then he's coming out of the hotel to get on the bus to go to the game, and then at the arena it's the same thing. It's every day.
Yeah, that's. I can't.
Yeah.
Just thinking about that makes me have anxiety.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, people like
Paparazzi.
people in our society think that, like, that's something to chase, is to, like, be famous, and I'm like, I don't know if it's worth it.
No.
You know, like, I think of what would happen if this podcast got, like, more viewers. I'm not saying that I'd, like, want to get to the point where I get recognized in public, but it certainly could happen.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Could
if I
you
could-
handle it?
I don't know. Maybe,
Like,
like,
if people were like, "Oh my God, cool," you know, and you'd be like,
I mean, like, if it's cute girls, maybe I'd be okay with it, but
well,
no, I don't know. That's something that I've thought about. I mean, maybe, like, as time gets going, like, my anxiety won't be as bad, but it's more pressure. It's more expectations that you have to
Yeah.
live. Like, especially if you cultivate a following, you know, you feel like you almost owe it to them to have good podcast and good content, so that, you know, you feel like you're providing them something. You almost become not a slave, but a worker for those people, because they expect that from you.
Yep.
Once they start liking your podcast, I'm like, I don't know. Yeah, it's a lot to think about.
it is.
All right, well, we're at 50 minutes. Is there any final thoughts from Kayla Thomas? Any parting words?
Any parting words?
Parting. Anything you want to get off your chest with anxiety, depression, anything else you can think of?
Not necessarily. Like, I wish that I would have gotten more sleep for this, because I feel bad, because, like, I'm talking and stuff, but I feel like I'm, like, not all the way there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, shit happens sometimes.
We got some good stuff in there, though, right?
Some good stuff, yeah. No, like, don't feel like it has to be great.
Yeah, I think my thing is I don't strive for perfection, but like I don't want things to. I always think that things have to be like the best.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I'm that way too. I'm a perfectionistic person, so like I'll instantly start picking out flaws with my podcast, and then there'll be people that'll watch and they're like, "No, I didn't think it was that bad."
See, I'm doing that right now in my head.
Why?
Like, because that's who I am. I'm
Why?
like, did I just sound really dumb in that? You know, like.
But you know what? No one's watching us at this moment. They're not gonna get it until afterwards.
I know.
And a lot of, like we were saying earlier, a lot of what you think or whatever is causing you to have anxiety is not that bad. Like there'll be times where I think I sound fucking stupid, and then I go and watch it, I'm like, you didn't appear anxious at all. And I remember like at that specific point, I was like, man, I feel like I'm like too rigid, you know?
See, I think that was my issue. Is like I felt like I was too much anxiety. Like you can just tell.
Yeah.
You know.
I can tell.
Can you?
Yeah, because I can tell because you keep going like.
I know. I can't stop moving.
And then you're like, wait, is this the perfect position? Meanwhile, I'm just sitting here like.
I know, and I just keep moving. Like I can't. I mean, it's been a good time, but.
Yeah. It's obviously a hard thing to like figure out how to do a podcast.
This is really cool though. I've never done this. I'm glad that I was a part of it. So.
Well, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
No problem.